Good morning, MRCA. It's so good to see you at the end of another week. We made it through. Congratulations. So proud of you. Guys, we just have 2 more weeks. We can do this. Super excited. Well, welcome to another Fridays with Foster. It's so great to see you again. Today, I want to share one of my girls' favorite stories. And truly, it's one of my favorite Bible parables. So I'm excited to read to you today, The Sheep That No One Could Find. There once was a good shepherd who tended to his sheep in a field by a mountain, high, green, and steep. The sheep would go grazing right down to the sea. They always were happy and always were free. As long as they followed the shepherd, they knew nothing could harm them or frighten them too. But one of the sheep decided one day that the words of the shepherd were hard to obey. Instead, he decided to do things his way. He even decided to run far away. So he snuck off alone as fast as he could over a river and into a wood. At last, said the sheep, as he stood near a tree, I won't have to follow the shepherd and be like all of the others. I'll really be free. So into the valley the little sheep crossed and wandered all day until he was lost. Lost and confused, he wasn't aware a hungry old wolf had spotted him there. The wolf licked his lips and drooled at the sight. He got an idea and said with delight, I think I'll have lamb chops for dinner tonight. And you see the little lamb. You see him way down there. But in order to take the sheep by surprise, the wolf had to use a most clever disguise. He put on a sheep suit, a mask on his head, then waved to the sheep and cheerfully said, Oh, how about having some dinner with me? I live over there. Would you like to come see? The sheep, who felt lonely, said in reply, I'd love to have dinner. Just you and I. But when they arrived at the hungry wolf's lair, there wasn't a trace of food anywhere. The wolf grinned and said, There is no mistake, you see, silly sheep. I'm just a big fake. Now come over here, don't try to go back. You are my dinner, my tasty sheep snack. The little sheep screamed and dived underneath the wolf's snapping jaws and razor-sharp teeth. He raced through the forest past buzzards and bees. The wolf chased behind, but got lost in the trees. Whew. Up into the mountain, the frightened sheep flew. He had no idea just what to do, but all of a sudden he came to a stop the moment he got to the high mountain top. For blocking his path, the little sheep saw the huge angry lion who started to roar. The lion was mean and prideful and bad. He prowled through the country and always was mad. In order to show off his strength and his might, he tried to devour the sheep in all of his might. Yikes. With fury, he growled, How dare you come here? This is my mountain. Isn't that clear? Then, making a lunge with his powerful paws, he sliced at the air with his long, deadly claws. The sheep backed away on the mountain's flat top, but couldn't go further, or down he would drop to the very edge. So he leaped on the lion and slid down his tail. He landed behind him, then ran down the trail. Far off in the distance, he saw a tall tree. Finally, he said, a safe place for me. He climbed up the tree and taking a chance, he crawled to the end of a thin leafy branch. At last, breathed the sheep, I'll take a short little rest, and just like a bird, I'll hide in this nest. But the sheep felt so sad. I want to go home. I'm tired of being so scared and alone. I miss the Good Shepherd. I'd much rather be following him than stuck up in this tree. But just at that moment, from out of nowhere, a slithering snake hung down in the air. The snake was a liar, the evil one, too. The words that he spoke were always untrue. He said to the sheep, your shepherd is cruel. He'll never forgive you. Stop being a fool. His tongue darted out. He started to hiss. Come here, little lamb. Let me give you a kiss. Come here, he repeated. Come here, pretty please. I'll wrap around you and give you a tight squeeze. The sheep wiggled out. He barely got free. He jumped to the ground and started to flee. The snake was behind. The little sheep knew. The wolf and the lion were chasing him too. I bet he's scared. But when he got tired and he wanted to quit, he suddenly fell into a dark, open pit. The sheep couldn't see. The pit was so black. Above him, the beasts were set to attack. What can I do? The little sheep sighed. Oh, I'm trapped and alone, and I just want to cry. I've been so confused, so wrong, and so blind. My shepherd was caring and so loving and kind. I should never have left. It was all a mistake. I'm tired of the wolves and the lions and the snakes. But then the sheep heard a most wonderful sound. It came from above, from up on the ground. The shepherd was back. The shepherd was here. The shepherd was calling his name loud and clear. He had left all his flock for one sheep who was lost, to rescue and save him no matter the cost. He trounced that huge lion. He crushed the sly snake. He flung the old wolf by his tail into a lake. Then he pulled the sheep out from down in the pit, and on his strong shoulders, he made the sheep sit. He carried him back with a smile that was bright to the field by the mountain. What a beautiful sight. The sheep were so glad to see their small friend. He promised to never leave them again. To the shepherd he said, I'm sorry I strayed. Forgive me for all the mistakes I've made. What do you think the shepherd said? All is forgiven, the shepherd replied, and the sheep could detect tears of joy in his eyes. My heart is so happy. My love is so deep. Welcome back to your family. Welcome home, my lost sheep. And I bet that reminds you of a parable in the Bible from Luke chapter 15. Jesus told them this parable. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Does he leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders and he goes home. I tell you that in the same way, there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. And in John 10:11, Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. So I hope when I was reading this story to you that it reminded you of that parable, that it reminded you that that good shepherd is actually our good shepherd, that good shepherd would leave 99 sheep to come rescue me. So sometimes you might feel a little lost. Sometimes you might feel that you've lost your way just a little bit. You know what? What we can do as believers is we can go to the good shepherd and tell him to come rescue us. Tell him that we're sorry for our mistakes, to please forgive us. And then what does he say? He puts us on his shoulders and he says, I love you. I love you so much. Welcome back. God, that's our God. That's our Jesus. And isn't it so encouraging to know that we serve that good shepherd? That he loves us that much? So excited to see you guys this morning and so excited to read about our good shepherd with you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. See you next week.